All right, welcome to another virtual Toastmasters.
Yay.
Nice to see everybody. And we have a member that we haven't seen in a while, Rick. So welcome
I'm here.
to your first virtual Toastmasters.
Right.
Very exciting. Charles, I think we're waiting on one more person for from the roll sheet, but in the meantime, today is our club officer election, so we'll handle that first and just get it out of the way and done with. And hopefully by the time that's wrapped up, we'll have Debbie here. But if not, we probably will need a backup grammarian. So, all right. So we discussed this the last couple weeks. As you know, new term starts July 1st, and this is our current slate, our current ballot as it stands right now. So for President, Deanna, VP of Education, Pat, VP of Membership, Stacy, VP of Public Relations, Lucille, Treasurer, Paul, Secretary, Megan, and Sergeant of Arms, Jesse. At this time, does anybody have anything that they want to discuss? Any concerns they want to raise before we vote?
Hi, guys.
Nope. Okay. So in just a second, you'll see a poll show up. We have over 50% of members represented, so we can officially vote. So give it 1 second and then you can cast your vote.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Good job, Devin.
New way of doing things.
It will disappear once you vote.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
Debbie.
I'm feeding my face. That's why I turned the video out.
Oh.
Give it a couple more seconds.
Hi, Corey.
Hi.
I don't know if I said hi to Charles and Anita too. Hi, guys.
All right, great. It was unanimous. So please welcome our July 2020 slate of officers.
Yay.
Yay.
At this point, we probably will continue to be on the virtual versions of the meeting for at least probably the next month. So when it comes time, we will do the officer induction ceremony over Zoom if we need to. And I don't think we have any other announcements to begin. So with that, please welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Charles.
Yay.
Thank you, Devin. Well, today's theme I thought was appropriate to be empathy. The world seems like it's going crazy right now, and one of the most difficult things that I feel is missing, but is also coming back in a very big way is empathy. It's also the word of the day, and empathy is the ability to understand or identify with another's feelings. And I think every day when we put on a mask, or we have social distancing, or we're in a meeting like this, it definitely gives us an opportunity to understand how someone else feels and how we're looking to protect them. People are out in the street right now, very understandably upset and angry about things that are going on. And it's amazing, because I never thought in my life there would be so many calls to put Americans to put themselves in other people's shoes so often, and to take someone else's perspective. I think it's something that's all around us, and that is today's theme. With that, we are going to move into our functionary roles. Our table topics leader will be Angel. Do you want to give us a little preview of what's to come?
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes, we're going to be thinking about empathy in relation to different situations, animals and people. So get ready for that. You're going to have very open questions. And we're going to focus on the difference between sympathy and empathy as well, because sympathy is generally thought to be feeling sorry and pitying for someone, the ability to at least feel sorry. But empathy is more to do with being able to feel it for yourself, and not necessarily take any action. I think sympathy is better in some ways, because sympathy involves doing something about it. Because you feel so bad for someone, you're going to help them. Whereas empathy is just, oh yeah, I've been through that as well, I know what it's like. So we're going to be thinking about all of that.
Thank you, Angel. The next functionary role I'd like to introduce is our awe counter. Deanna, do you want to tell us what words you'll be watching out for?
You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, as you guys know, I'll be counting all the ahs and the ums and the so's and the whatnots. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deanna. Debbie, can you tell us about what you'll be watching for as the grammarian?
Leanne and I will be listening for for grammar, people have grammar, but also for the word of the day and for interesting statements that people make that we like.
Great. Thank you, Debbie. Paul, can you give us a quick heads up about your role as the timer, the official timer this time, not just standing in for me?
Oh, that's good. That's right. And not doing two roles, right? That's crazy. So I'm happy to be timer today. It's going to be fun. I have a 12 to 14 minute speech from Lisa. So Lisa, you'll see 12, 13, 14. And then we'll do the traditional timing roles for table topics and evaluations.
Thanks, Paul. And Stacy will be our general evaluator. And if you could give us a preview of what you'll be telling us, what you'll be looking for.
All right. What I'll be looking for is to evaluate the meeting and to say just little comments about each of the roles, and also how the evaluators evaluated the speakers, and just an overall opinion about the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy. Anita, our chat monitor,
Hello. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. I'll be monitoring the chat. And also, I believe I'll be taking in any votes for evaluator and speaker and table topic.
Thank you, Anita. And lastly, that will bring us to our watcher, Devin. Please let us know what you'll be doing.
So I'll be observing how we present virtually. So any tips and tricks on how to present well in our little tiny screens.
Thanks, Devin. I really appreciate that feedback, because I'm spending more and more time online now, and I've gotten better at where I'm placing the camera, which paints me in a better light. With that, I'll want to turn it over to the joke master, Jesse. Please let us hear some. Yeah, Dave, please take over.
Okay, there we go. Okay, can you hear me? All right, this joke might be old as the hills, but I don't remember having heard it before. And so it's one of those that you can actually probably remember and repeat, because I'm terrible at remembering jokes. But anyway, okay, so there was a a doctor and a lawyer at a party, and they were having a conversation together, and they went to the subject of, when I'm at parties, I get a lot of people asking me for free advice. And the other one said, yeah, me too. That happens a lot. And so the lawyer said to the doctor, well, what do you do when that happens? And he said, the doctor just said, I go ahead and give the advice. And the lawyer says, okay. But he says, then I send them a bill. And the lawyer said, oh, fantastic. Okay, great. Good to know. So, they finished up the party and everybody went home and everything. And the next morning, the lawyer went out, and as he usually does, and checked his mail, opened the mailbox, and pulled out an invoice from the doctor. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Oh, thanks, Jesse. That was great. All right, we're going to move on to our only speaker of the day. Lisa will be giving us a speech titled "Make Your Bed." Her objectives are to select a topic that resonates with the audience, use vocal variety, tone, and rhythm, convey a sense of the author's style. And her time will be 12 to 14 minutes. And I believe we're in for a treat because she will be giving us a speech from the admiral who led the operation to get Osama bin Laden. So it's a very heroic author of the speech. And with that, I give you Lisa, and make your bed.
Thank you for that, Charles. So this speech was delivered as the commencement address to the graduates of the University of Texas at Austin on May 17, 2014. And this speech is entitled "Make Your Bed." It's by the Admiral William H. McRaven. A little background on Admiral McRaven. He was born November 6, 1955, and is a retired United States Navy 4-star admiral who last served as the 9th commander of the United States Special Operations Command, SEAL Team, from August 8, 2011 to August 28, 2014. And from 2015 to 2018, he was the Chancellor of University of Texas System. He has a lengthy military history, but that sets the stage for the importance of this speech. And here it goes. President Powers, Provost Fenries, deans, members of the faculty, family and friends, and most importantly, the class of 2014. Congratulations on your achievements. It's been almost 37 years to the day that I graduated from UT. I remember a lot of things about that day. I remember I had a throbbing headache from a party the night before. I remember I had a serious girlfriend whom I later married. That's important to remember, by the way. And I remember that I was getting commissioned in the Navy that day. But of all the things I remember, I don't have a clue who the commencement speaker was that evening, and I certainly don't remember anything they said. So acknowledging that fact, if I can't make this commencement speech memorable, I will at least try to make it short. The university's slogan is, "What starts here changes the world." I have to admit, I kind of like it. What starts here changes the world. Tonight, there are almost 8,000 students graduating from UT. That great paragon of analytical rigor, Ask.com, says that the average American will meet 10,000 people in their lifetime. That's a lot of folks. But if every one of you changed the lives of just 10 people, and each one of those folks changed the lives of another 10 people, just 10, then in 5 generations, 125 years, the class of 2014 will have changed the lives of 800 million people. 800 million people Think of it. Over twice the population of the United States. Go one more generation, and you can change the entire population of the world. 8 billion people. If you think it's hard to change the lives of 10 people, change their lives forever, you're wrong. I saw it happen every day in Iraq and Afghanistan. A young army officer makes the decision to go left instead of right down a road in Baghdad, and the 10 soldiers in his squad are saved from close-in ambush. In Kandahar province, Afghanistan, a non-commissioned officer from the female engagement team senses something isn't right and directs the infantry platoon away from a 500-pound IED, saving the lives of a dozen soldiers. But if you think about it, not only were these soldiers saved by the decisions of one person, but their children, yet unborn, were also saved. And their children's children were saved. Generations were saved by one decision, one person. But changing the world can happen anywhere and anyone can do it. So what starts here can indeed change the world. The question is, what will the world look like after you change it? Well, I am confident that it will look much, much better. But if you will humor this old sailor for just a moment, I have a few suggestions that may help you on your way to a better world. And while these lessons were learned during my time in the military, I can assure you that it matters not whether you ever served a day in uniform. It matters not your gender, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, or your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves equally to all. I have been a Navy SEAL for 36 years. It all began when I left UT for basic SEAL training in Coronado, California. Basic SEAL training is 6 months of long, torturous runs in the soft sands, midnight swims in the cold water off San Diego, obstacle courses, unending calisthenics, days without sleep, and always being cold, wet, and miserable. It is 6 months of being constantly harassed by professionally trained warriors who seek to find the weak of mind and body to eliminate them from ever becoming a Navy SEAL. But the training also seeks to find those students who can lead in an environment of constant stress, chaos, failure, and hardship. To me, basic SEAL training was a lifetime of challenges crammed into 6 months. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in basic SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they would inspect was your bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers pulled tight, the pillows centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. That's Navy talk for bed. It was a simple task, mundane at the best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in the light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the very first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task and another and another. By the end of the day, one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you will never do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you the encouragement that tomorrow will be better. If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. During SEAL training, the students are broken down into boat crews. Each crew is 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rubber boat, and at one coxswain to help guide the dinghy. Every day, your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast. In the winter, the surf off San Diego can be up to 8 to 10 feet high, and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf unless one digs in. Every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort or the boat will turn against the wave and be unceremoniously tossed back onto the beach. For the boat to make it to its destination, everyone must paddle, and you can't change the world alone. You will need some help. And to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswain to guide them. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 35. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the munchkin crew, as we call them. No one was over about 5'5". The munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow, these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not the size of their flippers. Several times a week, the instructors would line up the class and do a uniform inspection. It was exceptionally thorough. Your hat had to be perfectly starched, your uniform immaculately pressed, and your belt buckle shiny and void of any smudges. But it seemed that no matter how much effort you put into the starching your hat, the pressing your uniform, or polishing your belt buckle, it just wasn't good enough. The instructors would find something wrong. For failing the uniform inspection, the student had to run fully clothed into the surf zone and then, wet from head to toe, roll around on the beach until every part of your body was covered with sand. The effect was known as sugar cookie. You stayed in that uniform the rest of the day, cold, wet, and sandy. There were many a student who just couldn't accept the fact that their effort was in vain, that no matter how hard they tried to get that uniform right, it was unappreciated. Those students didn't make it through training. Those students didn't understand the purpose of the drill. You were never going to succeed. You were never going to have a perfect uniform. Sometimes, no matter how well you prepare or how well you perform, you still end up a sugar cookie. It's just the way life goes sometimes. If you want to change the world, get over being a sugar cookie and keep moving forward. Every day during training, you were challenged with multiple physical events, long runs, long swims, obstacle courses, hours of calisthenics, something designed to test your mettle. Every event had standards, times you had to meet. If you failed to meet those standards, your name was posted on a list, and at the end of the day on the list, you were invited to a circus. A circus was 2 hours of additional calisthenics designed to wear you down, break your spirit, force you to quit. No one wanted a circus. A circus meant that for the day, you didn't measure up. A circus meant more fatigue, and more fatigue meant that the following day would be more difficult and more circuses were likely. But at some time during field training, everyone made the circus list. You know, but an interesting thing happened to those who were constantly on the list. Over time, those students who did 2 hours of extra calisthenics got stronger and stronger. The pain of the circuses built inner strength, built physical resiliency. Life is filled with circuses. You will fail. You will likely fail often, and it will be painful. It will be discouraging. At times, it will test you to your very core. But if you want to change the world, don't be afraid of circuses. At least twice a week, the trainees were required to run the obstacle course. The obstacle course contained 25 obstacles, including a 10-foot high wall, a 30-foot cargo net, a barbed wire crawl, to name a few. But the most challenging obstacle was the slide for life. It had a 3-level, 30-foot tower at one end and a 1-level tower at the other. In between was a 200-foot-long rope. You had to climb the 3-tier tower, and once to the top, you grabbed the rope, swung underneath the rope, and pulled yourself hand over hand until you got to the other end. The record for the obstacle course stood for years when my class began training in 1977. The record seemed unbeatable until one day a student decided to go down the slide for life head first. Instead of swinging his body underneath the rope and inching his way down, he bravely mounted the top of the rope and thrust himself forward. It was a dangerous move, seemingly foolish and fraught with risk. Failure could mean injury and being dropped from the training. Without hesitation, that student slid down the rope perilously fast. Instead of several minutes, it took him only half that time, and by the end of the course, he had broken the record. If you want to change the world, every still knows, the instructors threatened the students more times in the mud if they kept slingshots, but they kept persisting. I'm sorry, audience, I'm breaking forward because I timed this yesterday, but I'm ahead. Finally, in field training, there is a bell, a brass bell that hangs in the center of the compound for all the students to see. All you have to do to quit is ring the bell. Ring the bell and you no longer have to wake up at 5 o'clock. Ring the bell and you no longer have to do the freezing cold swim. Ring the bell and you no longer have to do the run, the obstacle course, the PT, and you no longer have to endure hardships of training. Just ring the bell. If you want to change the world, don't ever, ever ring the bell. To the graduating class of 2014, you are moments away from graduating, moments away from beginning your journey through life, moments away from starting to change the world for the better. It will not be easy, but you are the class of 2014, the class that can affect the lives of 800 million people in the next century. So start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and you will fail often. But if you take some risk, step up when the times are toughest, face the bullies. Lift up the downtrodden and never ever give up. If you do these things, then the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better. Thank you very much. Hook 'em horn.
That was awesome.
That was great. That was a wonderful speech. Very inspiring. Let's have 1 minute to write our evaluations. Lisa's email is in the email for this meeting. So if we can either send it to her directly via email or through the chat system, that would be appreciated. Paul, if you can also keep track of time. All right. And now I'll turn the mic over to our general evaluator, Stacy.
Oh, here we go. Hi. It's my pleasure to introduce Lisa's evaluator, Rick, who will evaluate her speech. Go ahead, Rick, unmute yourself.
Okay, can you guys, I'm unmuted, right? You can hear me?
Yep, you are.
Okay, good. I was actually, this is my first time viewing a speech on online, and I really thought it was actually much better than I kind of envisioned it being. And I thought, first of all, Lisa, you set everything up really good in the sense that the background looked really good, you looked really good, the lighting was really good, and I think all those things are really important, and it came across really good. I think when you started to get a little animated and you started to kind of like demonstrate how somebody was throwing the rope over and whatever, that actually even worked really well too, maybe even perhaps better than you thought. So as you were reading and conveying, I felt really good. I didn't feel like you were like lost in some document. I felt like you were reading it in a way and I was feeling it. And then when you started to animate yourself, I thought it even got better. So there you go. And I think you had a great tone, a great pitch in your voice. I liked that. I was surprised that the video came out as well as it did. So I think if I had anything I could suggest, it's really not even a criticism. But I think like sometimes on your glasses, when you're looking into a monitor, there's like a reflection that takes out the ability to see your eyes. And I don't even know if you can fix that. I don't even know if you can fix that, but maybe set it up and practice and see if you can fix it, because that might be something I would have liked to have had a clearer vision of your eyes. But overall, first of all, it was a beautiful story and a beautiful experience and a great experience. And somebody who had not served in the military, I really appreciate you bringing it to the table. So it was really good. So thank you so much for a great speech. Okay.
Thank you, Rick.
Are we waving our hands now rather than clapping? Is that how that works?
It's sign language.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're all muted, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I'm the only one. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah. So I will turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster, Charles. You got to unmute yourself.
Got me too. I don't think we need a timer's report. I think Paul did a great job of keeping us all on track. Now we'll move into the table topics portion of the meeting. And Angel, the mic to you.
Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you, Lisa, and everyone. Can you hear me? I'm going to have to try. Oh, there you all are. Okay. Yeah. So we have a bunch of amazing questions, as amazing as you want them to be. We're going to be thinking about empathy. Remember, empathy and sympathy are very similar, and they both involve feeling for someone or something else. And so I know we all have those experiences, and we all have sometimes challenges too with those experiences. And so I want you to choose. You can choose, or you can volunteer by raising up your hand. I think the first one will be nice and easy. Something you might not have had to deal with though, right at the moment. And that is, does somebody want to volunteer to speak on the topic of empathy in regard to difficult co-workers? Difficult co-workers. Do you remember those? There used to be people that you went to work and that you saw there. Remember that? If nobody raises their hand on that, I will bring another topic. So wave if you're ready. Nobody's moved by that one. No, I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, so let's move on to teenagers, dealing with teenagers. sometimes it's hard because they're in a very different stage of life than us. I think, Paul, I'm going to have to ask you this question because I know that you have teenagers and sometimes you have to have empathy with their point of view. Would you like to speak to that topic, please, and use empathy as the word of the day?
Sure. Thank you, Angel. Empathy. Sometimes I forget what it's like to be a teenager.
Yeah.
For me, it was many moons ago. And I have teenagers now. I have a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old. And I think sometimes, especially in today's day and age, it's hard. It was a lot different when I was a teenager, obviously. And the things that the kids have to struggle through today is quite amazing. I'll give you an example. My 14-year-old, it doesn't sound like such a big deal, but she is not able to do her 8th grade graduation. It's the promotion into high school. It's a little bit of a bummer for her because she missed out on 3 months with her friends. She missed out on the opportunity to have a little celebration. We're still going to do all that, and we'll have some friends over when the time is right. But it's a bit of a bummer for them. So for me, I didn't have that. And she obviously lost out on that. So I can empathize with her. I feel really bad for her. But that's just what some of the things we're dealing with. Luckily, my 19-year-old, she graduated last year. She didn't get hosed out of a high school graduation, but I feel really sorry for those kids that did.
Thank you very much, Paul. And you are the timer, correct? Sorry, I gave you 2 jobs to do there. And if you'd like to time for the next person, I'm going to just look back at my list and hope it doesn't keep disappearing like it did just now. What about sympathy or empathy for your neighbors? Your neighbors. I have awful neighbors. It's hard to feel empathy sometimes. You should all be empathizing with me if you've had the same problem. Let me see. I'm going to ask Corey. Corey, can you speak to having empathy with your neighbors?
Thank you, Angel. I was thinking about that when the word of the day came up, and I would like to talk on a different kind of topic a little bit, if I can. And what the difference, when I really found out the difference between empathy and sympathy, I don't regret too many things in life. Can you hear me, everyone? I don't really regret too many things in life. I think everything is done for a reason, and you gain experience from even mistakes. But the one thing that I really regret is that when I was in grade school, one of my really good friends, his dad passed away, and I didn't know how to handle it. So I just let him, deal with his own emotions, deal with his own feelings. I thought that was the best thing to do. And looking back several years, I know that that's not the best thing to do. And to give you another example is that I have another friend that had surprisingly got the news that he was going to have a baby. And my reaction to his news saying that he was going to have a baby was, what are we going to do? And I really think that that's empathy, is taking some type of, feelings, taking some type of ownership in this. How are we going to get through this? What are we going to get? How are we going to make this work? What are we going to do to get you back on track? I think those are the difference between empathy and sympathy, is feeling that. There's a lot of hurt right now, and there's a lot of people that are angry. I think the best thing to do right now is to try to understand how they're feeling and be a part of it and think, wow, that really sucks. That really sucks. And I really feel for you. And I think that that's the best attitude. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Corey. Thank you for that. Yes, we're coming back to that topic. But before we get there, I want to talk about empathy for animals. Jerry isn't here. I was going to ask about empathy for farm animals. Do we have any other vegans here right now? I'm going to ask Debbie then. Rather than a farm animal, can you talk to us about our pets and feeling or empathy for a pet, especially maybe a sick pet, if you have any words of wisdom about empathy?
Yes, I think you picked the right girl when it comes to pets. Sick pets are heart-wrenching. They really are. They look at you and you just you feel so responsible for them because they trust you and they believe in you, and you're the one who's supposed to make it better. And when you can't help them, then that's really bad, and we just had a terrible experience. That's why I have my baby here, because we just lost our dog, and it was in February, but it feels like it was just, and he was my best friend who followed me everywhere all over, and he had cancer. And you think about your baby in pain, and yeah, it's really sad. So we lost our baby. But anyhow, I definitely do have a lot of empathy for animals, but I think the animals at our house are pretty spoiled. They go where they want to go. They do what they want to do. They get lots of treats. So I don't think there's too much to worry about with the ones that live with the Tyrells. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm sorry that was more fresh than I knew about. Sorry for that. I'm going to ask, where's Jessie? Is she still here? I can't see Jessie. Is she gone?
I think she was driving.
She was in her car. I'm going to ask, who's not got a job today? Rick. Oh no, Rick already spoke. Lucille, how could you advise us about somebody who has lost their home? Some buildings have been burning and many people can't afford their home anymore, or are downsizing, or are moving in with relatives. And would you like to speak to empathy regarding people who may be homeless in any event?
Thank you for that question, Angel. It's very hard to lose a home. Okay. And I empathize. I've never lost a home through a fire or anything like that. So from that standpoint, it's a little hard for me. But to me, a home is more of not the actual structure per se, but the memories of the families that were there, the memories that you have being in that home. And if you lose that home, even though the memories are in your head and your heart, it would still be very difficult. And so from that standpoint, I empathize. But I like to go back to the pets, because I know how hard it is to have a pet that's sick, because I'd lost one, and that was my baby, Odie, and I had that boy since a little pup. So when he was about almost 9, almost 10, he was very, very sick, and it was very hard. So I empathize for anybody that have a pet that go through the sickness of a pet, and it's just run. So Debbie, I know how you feel having lost a dog, and I know some of you, or a pet, some of you has lost that. I know Corey had one before, and I remember that very well. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Lucille. Yes, it's getting a bit depressing now. Sorry about that. But empathy means that something is wrong, because otherwise we don't have anything to empathize with. And as I mentioned earlier, when you have sympathy, it's more often a call to action, whereas when you have empathy, it's more an understanding. And wise men have said that we only really have awareness if we realize that we understand nothing, and that we're only enlightened if we don't cling to our own beliefs. Even when we realize that that's only our opinion, there's no real easy understanding, no real truth. Everyone has their own, of course. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to ask Devon, may I ask you to speak regarding empathy and people who might be outside of a general sphere of understanding, and that might be some of our politicians. So politicians and empathy, are there any words of wisdom for us?
I don't know about politicians, but I'll take the community. I actually heard somebody speak a few months ago on sympathy versus empathy, and his definition was one I hadn't quite heard before. And what he said was that true empathy is you have to be able to fully understand what that person is going through. So I always considered it as you could picture yourself in their shoes. But his point was, no, you only have true empathy if you have experienced the same thing. Otherwise, you have sympathy. And both are good and helpful to understand people in their plight. But true empathy means you have to experience it. So, for instance, right now, with all this unrest we're seeing, I can sympathize and try to understand and learn more about, you know, the struggles of people of color in our country, but I can't truly empathize because I have never had to face that kind of prejudice and bias that they do. So that's kind of the difference, and that's what I'm trying to understand and just take the time to educate and listen, because I think that's where we get true understanding and use that sympathy to then take some action on what we're learning.
Thank you, Devin, very much for addressing that tricky question. And I do have another tricky question, but I think, Anita, you can handle it. Would you please speak for us, just for a minute, surrounding empathy and the police, law enforcement? Is there anything on your mind today?
Thank you, Angel, for that question. There's a lot on my mind about that, but I don't know how this group will react to my thoughts on it, because there's so much unrest going on right now, and I truly sympathize, using Devin's description, with the Black community. And I think all of us sympathize with what's going on, and we should. However, I feel a lot of empathy for the police. And I think that there's something there valuable and useful in our community. And I believe that that most officers and most law enforcement are honest and ethical and do the right thing and want to help support our country. And I don't see the support on TV that much, and I don't see empathy on some news channels, and I don't even watch the news anymore. But the police, I was thinking, if there isn't one already, we should start a law enforcement lives matter, that those folks go out on the front lines every day for us. And I think that more should be made of that also. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Anita. Thank you. And yes, we want to hear all opinions, and we want to have balanced opinions, and we're more than happy to hear what everybody has in their heart or on their mind. So thank you for that. If I have time for one more, it's not quite as heavy. Charles, do I have time? No? All right, then I'll hand the meeting back to you, Charles, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Angela. That was great. That was very, very difficult topics, very timely as well. For now, I'd like to go through and do some reports. Deanna, I know I have been very guilty today and I've been keeping you very occupied. I'd love to hear your counter report.
All right. I don't have anything for you, Charles. See, good job there. And Angel, you've talked quite a bit. I only got one so. That's good job there. Jesse was fine. I didn't have anything there. Debbie, you had 2 and you had 1, you know. Paul, good job. Nothing there. Stacy, I didn't see anything. Anita, you had 5 and 1 and you had 1 repeat, which is there. But you did a good job answering the question. I know that can happen, and we're all here to improve. Devin,
Looks like she froze.
Yeah. I thought that
Yeah,
was-
we've lost her, Charles. Why don't you get the timer and the grammarian?
All right. That's great. Can we get a timers report? How did everybody do?
Everyone qualified. Lucille's right on the cusp, but she qualified.
Thanks, Paul. And our general evaluator. How was
That would
the
be,
meeting?
oh, the meeting. We started just a couple minutes after 12 o'clock, but that's pretty good. You know, I've seen us start meetings later than that. I like that we all were here, almost everybody here for our roles. I think we missed one. And Charles did a great job as Toastmaster. I think he ran the meeting pretty well, because I don't think you've done it that often. The joke master, Jesse had a joke that I think we were slow to get, but we got it. He kind of snuck up behind you and oh, there's the punchline. And Lisa's speech on Make Your Bed was so well done. She really put a lot of feeling into it and a lot of hand motions. I really enjoyed the speech. I like the content. I love hearing about the military and what goes on in the military. I just think it's a great story. So Admiral McRaven must have been quite a guy. Did you know him? I just wonder. You did know him or no?
No, I would be honored to have known him, but he has a book and he's just a standout individual. So
Okay.
no, I wish I would have.
Okay, cool. Rick's evaluation was very thorough for Lisa, and I believe that he gave some great feedback for her. Very observant. And Angel's Toastmaster role, I liked the questions you came up with. I believe that they were varied enough that everybody had a little bit of a different subject to reply about. And Paul's little thing about hosed out of graduation, I thought that was a unique expression. Not that I'm the grammarian, I just thought that was kind of unique. So the great meeting, we're really having a lot of fun here. I believe we're getting used to this whole Zoom venue of doing the meetings, and I love that I can see everybody. You know, when we're in a meeting, we don't always see everybody's faces, but the Zoom helps with that. So thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. I think I took it a little bit out of order. Debbie, you're the grammarian, and if you could let us know what good things you heard.
Everyone said the word of the day, first of all. And it's funny, Stacy, because I like that too. I wrote down host out of graduation too. I like that statement. I know this isn't but I love Lisa's. And there were so many things that you said quoting, but my favorite thing is don't ever ring the bell. And but I didn't hear any big grammar problems.
All right, excellent. And Deanna, is there anything else that we missed? You cut out on us. Any ahs, ums, likes, zero that we need to know about?
I think I was ending with Corey. I said that he had one and then a repeat with if, and then Lucille had one so, and you had two repeats, one with the word certainly and one with the word or. That's it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Deanna. Welcome back. But I would be remiss if I didn't say to please send everyone's vote for their favorite table topics speaker to Anita before the close of the meeting. And our last functionary, Devin, if you could tell us what you saw as the watcher.
The good news is we have gotten so much better that I don't have much to critique this week. Everybody is framed well, their lighting's good. We've taken all the tips we've gotten over the last, I think we're at 2 months of doing this now and really applied it. So excellent job, everybody. People were paying attention, which is good. That helps. The speaker can see you, so it's good to know that somebody's looking back. My only tip, and this is for reading, when you have notes to read for the speech, if there's anything you can do to prop them up to be more in line wherever your camera is, the better connection you'll have with the audience, because then your eye level will still be directed towards the camera. I know it's difficult when we're doing speeches that require a lot of reading, but if there's anything you can tape to your computer or a book stand or anything like that, that will help just draw your eyes up, because that's the only kind of connection we have with each other through the screen, is when you're looking directly at the camera. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And actually, Devin, I believe I'm going to turn it back over to you as the president still.
Do you want to do the awards?
Yes. Or I thought the club president did that.
Oh, well, I'm happy to. If I can get him from Anita.
Depends who's got the information.
Yeah. Or we can have
Yes,
Anita
there's-
announce it. Anita, why don't you announce it?
Well, there's a tie. Devin and Corey, tie.
Yay. Thank you. All right, excellent meeting. Thank you, Charles. Great job. Great, very, very timely theme. And I love that Lisa's speech actually fit well into it as well. So it kind of, everything tied together today. It was nice to see everybody. I don't think I have any other announcements, so unless anybody else does.
I got an announcement real
Okay,
quick.
go ahead.
So this is a very special day on Sunday, and it is one of our dear friends' birthday, and Toastmasters Secretary for Life, our friend and member, Paul Barsh, is having his birthday on Sunday. And I would like everyone to unmute. He's giving me the red. I'd like everyone to unmute and sing him either happy birthday or he's a jolly good fellow. I think jolly good fellow. What do you think? Okay.
He's a
Jolly good fellow.
He's a jolly good fellow.
He's a jolly good fellow that nobody
can deny.
Yeah, Paul.
Happy birthday.
Birthday.
How old are you now? How old are you now?
Very old.
We're still a youngin'.
Also, pretty much very close. I can't remember the day.
Tomorrow.
It's your birthday as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy
Thank you, birthday after. So
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy
birthday, dear Corey.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for remembering that, babe.
Good job, Lucille.
Can't believe it's June already.
I know.
As somebody who just came in and watched the first Zoom Toastmaster meeting, you guys did, I thought you did a really, really good job.
We're experts on it now. Thanks to Devin and
Thanks for visiting.
Yeah.